First of mornings.
Huh? What? What'd you say?
I said I clean!
Hold up, Jim.
Tonight!
What?
Tonight!
What'd you say? Can't hear you, Jim. Where you hiding, Jim?
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Horror Roadside Show. This is episode 6, and I'm at a location that many of you have requested that I go to, which is the Danvers State Hospital. Now, whether you're a fan of ghosts or the paranormal, or you have seen the movie Session 9, or you're a fan of DC Comics, Batman in particular. Why Batman? Well, I'll tell you. The Danvers State Hospital was the inspiration for the Arkham Asylum for DC Comics Batman. That's right. Now, if you're new here, please subscribe down below, hit the notification bell, smash that like button, and do me a favor, leave a comment down below whether you believe in the paranormal, ghost, or not. If you do, I'd love to hear some of your own stories. Please comment down below, and let's go take a look, shall we? With ties to the Salem witch trials and the torture, agony, and torment of the patients of the Danvers State Hospital, it's no wonder this place has such a dark and haunting stain on America. Danvers State Hospital was originally called the State Lunatic Asylum at Danvers. It was part of the countrywide concept, at least in the 1800s, that people with psychological problems needed to be cured inside specially made facilities. Construction on Danvers State Hospital started in 1874, and the first patients moved in sometime around 1878. At its peak, the facility had 40 buildings and maxed out at 450 patients. The goal of the facility was to completely cure patients of their ills. Danvers was a success at first, but by 1900, Danvers State Hospital employed 125 people and had treated more than 9,500 patients since its opening. Its good reputation proved to be Danvers' undoing. Over the next 20 years, the population of the hospital swelled to more than 2,000 patients, despite its official capacity of only 450. Administrators begged the state for more money to build more rooms and hire more staff, but to no avail. This location has haunting stories of disembodied screams, misty, shadowy figures, and apparitions seen throughout the halls and the property.
How you doing? My name is Mike Sullivan, and I worked as a security guard for a movie set in 1999 and 2000 for a movie that was produced by 2001, came out. It's called Session 9. It was at the Danvers State Mental Institution. My experiences were pretty interesting. I was never one to believe in ghosts or anything like that until I worked there. There was a lot of strange things that happened in this place. Apparitions in the windows, screams in the middle of the night when you go as security and clear the building and there'd be nothing there. Unmarked graves, just amazing things that you couldn't believe unless you've seen it yourself. There was plenty of things. We had state police that were on the site all the time that themselves were too afraid to even venture into the place without at least 4 or 5 people with them. Keep in mind, these are police. They're armed with guns. They have the law behind them, and they were scared. So it was a very interesting place, a very interesting place. A lot of history there, a lot of experimentations from what I've heard and studied that happened there. Um, yeah, pretty scary place. It will definitely make you a believer, that's for sure. If you don't believe in anything like ghosts, uh, when that place was still up before they tore it down and made it into condos, if you went there, you'd walk out of there a believer that there were ghosts. Um, a lot of things happened there. A lot of bad things happened there. A lot of, like I said, experimentations, things like that. So it's a very interesting place. Definitely worth researching and going to check out. Oh yes, that's where they kept the criminally insane. The criminally insane were kept in a section of the hospital that was pretty much locked up like a prison. And there were underground tunnels in this place. So people that were considered criminally insane, they basically didn't want them to see the light of day. So they would bring them down to the tunnels and move them underground throughout the hospital, depending on where they needed to be for treatments or whatever. Very, very interesting place. Like I said, a lot of history. Spanish flu and all that. Like when that went down, they had crematories and everything like that. Just a very, very, very scary place. Especially when I was there, because at this point it was abandoned. At this point, it was closed down. They were filming a movie there because, basically based off its history. So they used certain parts of the building, like the morgue and the laboratories where they did all the lobotomies. There were shock tables where they would do shock treatment therapy on some of the inmates there. The place was surreal. It was not something that you would, like, as an average person, realize that actually went on. Do you know what I mean? And then you went and seen it. Huh? I worked 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. in the morning. 12-hour shifts. Yep, 4 days a week. Yep. And my job basically was just to protect the movie site. You know what I mean? Like, protect the equipment and the stuff for the movie. But part of our job, like, we would have to clear the building. Yeah. Part of my job was to clear the building whenever something was going on. You had to go in and make sure that there was no one roaming around the building. So we would hear screams, like literally blood-curdling screams in the middle of the night, 2 a.m., 3 a.m. We would have to go into the building and make sure no one was in there. And the funny part is like no one was ever in there. But you would hear these blood-curdling screams from the security car in the parking lot. Yeah. You can hear them. Yep. There was a lot of things that we saw, like in the windows. Like if you were sitting in the parking lot, you could look up in a window and see an apparition of like a woman standing in the fucking window. So you go, excuse my language. So you go in there and you clear it out, and then there would be nobody there. Like, what is this? It was just a very, very scary place to be, especially the middle of the night. There was a lot of things that went on there that made me a believer. Now, I was not, like I said, I was not somebody that believed like in ghosts and all that stuff. Like, right, it was always nonsense to me, whatever, until I worked in that place. Soon as I worked there, I walked out of there with a different mindset and a different respect for things, because like there's things that we don't understand. There are things that we definitely don't understand that goes on. I understand that too. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. No, we used to try to like make sense of it too, like, oh, well, maybe it was this or whatever. It's like, nah, dude, that was a lady in the window. You know what I mean? Like, dude, that couldn't have been, dude, it was a lady in the window, but yet there was nobody there. Nobody there. It was a scary time for me in my life when I worked there. very like it was very unsettling. I used to like not look forward to going to work every night. Like I didn't want to do it. Yeah. We worked for about 9 months while they were filming the movie there. Yeah. Yeah, it sure was. And you know, I'm not gonna lie, it was good money at the time for being a kid. But like it was definitely quite the experience. It was something I'll never forget. I'll put it that way. It's something that I will talk about when I'm old. So that's just the way it is. Oh yeah. Like that's why I laugh at people now when they're like, ghosts ain't real. And I'm like, oh, let me tell you something. Let me just tell you a story. Like, let me just tell you something. I walked out of there with a different mindset. Like it was a very, very, very surreal experience working there. Especially if you went and actually got to see the tunnels. Because we were security, we were the only ones with access down there. It was a very creepy place to go through those tunnels. Very creepy place. You could feel things in there. If you get what I mean. Like, yeah, it was very scary place. Very scary place. Oh, hey, that's my brother Mikey.
What's up, Dale?
But yeah, no, dude, it was definitely an experience. I can say that much. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to. Awesome, yeah. You got me on Facebook.
Patients walked through hallways naked. They lived in their own filth from a lack of basic hygiene. They weren't being cured. Their symptoms got worse. Shock therapy and straitjackets became the norm. The thinking was that jolts of electricity could either alter a patient's brain or make the patient afraid of shock therapy and scare them into submission. When they misbehaved, they were put in straitjackets and forgotten. So right here is a little memorial for what once was the hospital. Says an 1878 engraving of the newly constructed hospital. There's where people say it looks like a bat with the wings. So here's the center where we were. It's the main office. And then there's one wing that goes this way, which was the women's wing. And this wing right here was the men's wing. I'll film each picture and you could just pause it if you want to read it. These are some of the people that were here. This one states 5 hospital trustees and administrative staff, including Dr. Julia K. Casey, stand on the top steps of the Central Administrative Building in this 1880s formal photograph. Dr. Clarence A. Bonner, 1889 to 1959, was the superintendent of the state hospital from 1927 to 1954. Here's probably a better picture of what it looked like, why they called it the bat. Again, there's the men's, and there's the women's side. The lack of funding continued. Buildings fell into despair, which made conditions worse. Finally, the state intervened. Portions of Danvers State Hospital shut down in 1969. Most of it closed in 1985 before a permanent shutdown in 1992, after which the site became a popular destination for thrill seekers and kids looking for a good scare. In 2005, a development company bought the rundown property and tore down a large portion of the buildings. The renovations turned into a once macabre lunatic asylum into the Avalon Danvers State Apartments. Construction faced delays in 2007 when a mysterious fire broke out and burned a majority of the construction and some of the trailers. Excuse me for being so sweaty. It's very hot out today. I am here in one of the memorial cemeteries for all the patients who have passed while staying at the hospital. All the graves are right here behind me in the ground, as well as a memorial that has all the names of all the patients who have passed away. The sad part is they didn't know all the names of all the patients. So some of them just had barcodes or numbers, like this. It's a sad story. It's very sad. At least they had the common courtesy to come back and give these people proper plaques and grave markers. This land that all these graves are on are huge. This land is huge. It is big. It's beautiful. It's in a very nice area. I'm tucked under a nice tree in the shade. And I'm going to have a seat and show you the grave markers. There were graves even strewed about through the area. This is a little off of the beaten path. All the other ones are up there. There's one here. And there's another one over here. Let's take a look at that. A lot more than I thought there was. I mean, that just keeps going. You know, who knows how many bodies are actually here without a marker, without a name, maybe even without a number. It is so vast and filled with grass and beautiful trees and benches. I mean, you could see all the graves, but do we really know how many are actually here? There were graves everywhere over here. Everywhere. Some are in the bushes. Some are even up over here by some rocks. This is crazy. There's one right here, hidden. Jenny Williams, 1811, 1879. You know, I was going to try to do an EVP session here. I was going to use Jenna's phone on the recording app and see if I can hear anything. But unfortunately, that's the area over there where to walk in from. And it's kind of a far walk. And it's like 99 degrees outside. Most of you know I do have a daughter. She's disabled, so we didn't want to bring her through the heat coming down this long path. So Jenna's in the nice AC car with her. So maybe I'll catch an EVP on my phone now. Who knows? Just birds. Not all of the patients have died here. What I mean by that is one in particular. Marie Rose Balter.
Marie's dose of stelazine had increased from 40 milligrams to 2,500 milligrams a day, leaving her emaciated, fatigued, toothless, and barely able to control her own body. She spent her days and nights in bed, under covers, hallucinating, fighting off terrifying visions. One night, after years of this, Marie was rushed to the medical building. She was barely conscious. She was barely alive. Her liver had been severely damaged by all the stelazine doses. Finally, after 2 years of experimentation, Marie was taken off the drug.
I'm putting so much energy into this, dear God, so much, that I don't think I could stand it if I didn't make it.
When she was in Danvers State, she was able to draw on her belief in God to reinforce a sense that she was a valuable, special, loved person, even though as a mental patient, she was not considered to be a particularly valuable member of our society.
In 1966, at the age of 37, Marie Barbara said goodbye to her home of 20 years.
To cut the umbilical cord here was quite a struggle. I remember how homesick I used to feel for the place when I drive down Route 1 and look up at the building and I think of the people in there. I get a real homesickness for those that I really cared about.
Marie Rose Balter received a degree in psychology from Salem State and a master's degree from Harvard. She later returned to Danvers State Hospital to try to alter the hospital's past. On August 6, 1999, Marie Rose Balter passed away.